Thank you for taking the time to click on Lore. We hope you enjoy the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe here and follow us on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/SlipperySteve. And we are live. What is up? Happy Saturday to you folks. Thanks for tuning in if you are here. Welcome to the L.O.R.E Lounge. I am your humble host, Chris Ferguson, and I am joined this week by our one and only James and Colby.
Hello.
Just want to thank you guys for tuning in, or if not live, potentially on YouTube. But yeah, we are here today discussing everything D&D, but the most important topic that we are covering today is James's brand new campaign that he just brought to our channel called the Streets of Ankh-Morpork. So without further ado, I'll introduce myself real quick. I am Chris Ferguson. I am a starving voice actor without any street credit yet. And I play Oscar in The Final Horizon, as well as Reynard Runsbottom in James's Discworld campaign. And I do want to remind everybody while I'm still rambling on, you can donate to the channel to help us grow and get to the goals that we need to be at to make this thing better for everybody. But also, our links are all over the place on this page and everywhere on social media, where you can join our Patreon to help us with that. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and we also have our special guest that was on with us during the Halloween episode, Jada's Z. We also are still continuing to plug her charity for her dad, her GoFundMe account. So you can go down and look at the charity events on the tab and click there, and that'll take you directly to that. Without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Colby down below.
Hello, my name is Colby. You can find me on a lot of places on the internet, mostly just having to do with myself, and a little bit recently more about lore. So if you want to contact me, we have our links in descriptions and things like that. And reach out, say hi. And I've recently been mostly doing the art and some of the voice acting work that you hear in the clips that we've done for L.O.R.E, and trying to expand that a little bit. And yeah, this is what I do.
Yep, and there's fun little things too that you can do, like in chat when you're hanging out. If you type in exclamation point and then our name, Chris, Colby, James, Bob, or Remy, it'll give you details on each one of us individually, just a brief little summary. And there's a whole bunch of commands down in the description in the channel on the About page, where you can get in there and play different kind of games and earn points and all kinds of fun stuff. So I will shut up and leave it to James himself, our DM for the Streets of Ankh-Morpork.
I am James. I am the DM, like Chris said, of the new Streets of Ankh-Morpork Discworld campaign. In the Final Horizon, I am the perpetual troublemaker sentry, the seven-fingered pilot of the insanity, and purveyor of fireballs.
Oh God, yeah.
At inappropriate times. And outside of that, I mean, I'm kind of the Dale Gribble of the internet. You're not going to find me much. I like it that way. No.
All right. How many pockets do you have, and how much sand is it?
That's for me to know and you to find out there, sonny boy.
Sand.
Pocket sand.
And that's one of your goddamn questions.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I work a lot in the private sector because I'm not allowed to mention who I work for, but it's a large multinational corporation. And I pay shoots junkie pay. And I mean, I play D&D. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons. I was actually just thinking about this, Chris and Colby. Next year, 2021 will mark, for me, I believe it's 40 years of gaming.
Dang. I'm gonna be 30 in May.
And I have
Damn.
been playing Dungeons and Dragons for nearly all of it. I was there. I mean, literally, like the old, when they revived the old Red Box here a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah.
That's what I learned to play on. Was that and the old little brown paperbacks, like Maps of Blackmore and things like that. And which reminds me too, if you do find me online anywhere, if you check around, you might catch me. If you ever see somebody playing in a game online somewhere with the name Blackmore, Blakmoor, that's probably me, because I've been using that screen name in games online since like the mid 90s. But yeah, so I mean, I've been there for I've been doing this crap almost 40 years. Holy crap!
Man.
That's my life.
That's insane. We lost Colby.
I'm here. I'm just looking for something in the
Lost.
box near me.
He's lost in the fog. Come back to us, Cole.
I went.
I mean, we should have had you like back up really slowly and eventually just walk off the bridge with the castle behind your background. Just like, I'm going away.
I actually have some old things. So there's a shop about an hour north of me, White Knight's Game Room, that I really like to go to. And this guy has been a cornerstone of the gaming community for like 40 years. Like, he's been a huge part of it. And every year he has this sale where he just brings out this, like, the old gaming books and whatnot. And he literally has had warehouses full of these to sell, where he sells them for like $1 or $5. And I picked up some of these. See if you remember some of these. This is Dungeon Module B2, Keep on the Borderlands.
Dude, I have them.
Yeah. It won't show up right. It won't show up. Okay. Face.
Yeah.
There you go.
it is.
That worked. Oh, and then you disappear.
Yeah. The Dungeon Master's Companion Book 2.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the official Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
I had up until a few years ago, I just had to downsize when I was moving, and up until that point, I actually still had a stack of the old second edition books that was probably,
Dear
like
Lord, yeah.
3 foot high. Well, I've already showed you guys this thing. This is how long I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Deities and
That is-
demigods.
This is the deities and demigods that got them in trouble.
Yeah.
Is it story time?
Is that the one that had the succubus nipples?
No, it has the Cthulhu mythos because
Oh, yeah.
Lovecraft's estate did not give TSR the rights to use it.
Well, that was the whole thing, because like I guess they had a verbal agreement for it, but because like between them and the Lovecraft estate, they were notoriously terrible with bookkeeping, so there was no record of it.
Yeah.
So like it became a whole thing.
So back and that's an original like first printing of it.
Oh wow.
Which is back
That's
to
awesome.
like I think it's from like 1979, I think it is, or 19 like somewhere under 78.
That's almost as old as my mother.
Damn it, I'm still older than that.
All right. So back to the stream at hand.
Yeah, so James, do you want to tell us, without going too far deep into it, but just to give a premise of what your campaign is about, what it's based on, stuff like that?
Yeah, the campaign is, of course, based off of the novels of Terry Pratchett. Sir Terry Pratchett, who unfortunately we lost about 5 years ago. And those novels themselves have been, I think the first one's published in 1984, 85. And they were published right up to his death. The last few books he wrote, because of his illness, he wrote it with another writer. He would dictate to them, and then they would do the actual writing. But it's a rich lore, about 40 novels in total of the Discworld, and basically it is the books themselves are parodies. They're parodies and satirical looks at society, at the world we live in, at pop culture. I mean, there's a book called The Fifth Elephant, which is exactly what it sounds like. You know, there's oh geez, I'm sitting here looking at it. I mean, I have them all lined up on a shelf right next to me. But you know, there's so much stuff that goes on in those books, and they were just so incredibly intelligent and so thought provoking, but so funny at the same time. And I kind of want to bring that into this game, considering everything that we're going through this year. I wanted to bring some levity. I wanted to be able to look at this year, look at the world we live in right now, and kind of poke fun at ourselves, and poke fun at the world. You're gonna have it in this campaign if you keep joining in with us. Watch the campaign, watch the games each month when I run them. You're gonna see that there's gonna be this ongoing, underlying storyline on top of everything, and we're gonna go doing a. It's gonna be using the police procedural formula that's very popular in television, you know, all over, you know, the networks and, you know, even the streaming services now. And it's going to be that, but funny.
That, but funny.
I love it.
Hopefully. Why do you put sandwich in my shit?
You
Serious.
Oh,
you've created an identity.
Yeah, that's your thing, man.
Notice how I'm looking at the Permani on the screen.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. I had to put that. Like, the Permani was there, and then I was like, oh wait, I have the perfect side angle of James.
Yeah.
If anybody,
tilted a little.
If anybody wants to get me something for Christmas out there that's watching this, gift cards to Permani Brothers. I'm good.
Yeah.
I will be good.
Yeah, and
okay, so you're a true crime buff. Okay, cool. Okay, stay tuned, because coming up, one of the future games is actually going to be based around Tiger King.
Ooh.
What?
I can't. Oh my God! I can't wait to see how you work in the absolute batshit insanity that is the real life story of that group.
That whole group.
Oh my God.
The best part of it is I sat down. I refused. Like, you know, that became that was like, you know, at the beginning of quarantine. That was sort of like the quarantine guilty pleasure of so many people.
Yeah.
And I just flat out refused to watch it, because I was just sitting there going, no, absolutely not. I'm not watching this. It's just stupid, you know.
No,
and,
you had to.
Yes.
And then as I started putting this campaign together, I went, you know what? I'm going to be able to run that, and I'm not going to have to touch anything. It's so much of a train wreck. It's going to be funny in and of itself.
Yeah. Like,
know,
you don't.
I'm barely going to have to do anything.
Yeah.
I just have to change names.
I think one of my favorite summations of that documentary is simply, there is a scene in which a man fills open gas cans in a shed full of gas with a lit cigarette in his mouth, and everything around it is so crazy that you don't even notice.
Yes.
I just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the ice cream flavor Carol Baskin Robbins.
It's just
The
That
woman
whole-
was on Dancing with the Stars. Apparently, she was terrible too. But no, like.
Oof.
Well, when I watch it, as I'm watching it to gain a little more insight into exactly what's going on, other than what you can glean just from googling it, and just so I can get a better idea of the characters, this cast of characters. I'm sitting here. I can only do it in about 15 or 20-minute bites, because after that, I can sort of feel myself wanting to hemorrhage. And like blood trying to come out of my eyes at that point, because I have to just go, God, these people, no.
Yeah, these people.
So this,
I have to turn it off, and then give it a day, and then go back to it.
so it's official. You're bringing Tiger King theme into Discworld.
We are going to have a series of games. It'll probably run over about 2 to 3 games. That's going to be based on Tiger King.
This is oh my god. Okay.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
I have here hats. There. Hat off to that. That is something to look forward to. If you are watching live right now, you just heard it from James. Our new campaign is going to have Tiger King themes.
You're gonna have to catch the Tiger King arc.
The Tiger King arc. Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bastard and all that nastiness.
Yep.
I actually have started writing it. It's actually one of the few things I am actually writing for a campaign.
I'm so
That's
excited.
amazing. Yeah, I'm speechless at this point.
Most of what I run when I run it is completely off the hip. It's just off the top of my head, shooting from the hip. Yeah. I let you guys do it and just run with it, and I just go, okay, let's play.
Yeah, this seems like the sort of thing though where you're gonna have to like at least plan out like how everyone's connected to each other.
Oh yeah,
and the crazy things that they've done to each other. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm excited.
Hopefully we won't split the party next time.
Won't split the party. Remy will fall asleep on the couch somewhere again.
Yeah. Big elephant trunk. So, all right. Well, we got 3 viewers. Thank you for tuning in. If you guys have any questions, please entertain yourselves and us with asking anything you want, D&D related, hopefully. If you've watched any of the shows, feel free to pop in and ask questions about anything, really. Just hang out with us. Don't be scared to jump in and participate. We will answer everything you throw at us because, that's what we do. Without further ado, then, why don't we start with at least one question. We got 11 questions, so who's got die nearby? Die nearby.
Die nearby? Jesus. What kind of die?
Give me a D10.
What are we looking for? A D10?
Yeah, or a D12.
D10 plus 1?
Yeah, sure. A D10, yeah. It's a magical D10. Magical item.
Hold on. Shit. I'll get one here. I just gotta open something up. I'm gonna open up the website.
You can open up.
I've got mine with me.
I have big, huge, giant.
I've got a D12. Perfect.
What?
I rolled an 11.
Oh, well, perfect.
10 plus 1. There we go.
Because we got 11 questions.
You want to roll a D10 plus 1, and you said yes, you schmuck.
Yeah, it worked. It worked. All right. So I'm not sure who exactly this goes to, but we'll go with it anyway. This first adventure is heavily inspired by Sherlock Holmes. Will we be seeing other literary-inspired arcs going forward?
Oh,
I think that's for you, James.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean the first adventure was the Hound of the Bentonvilles, which was just a pretty much a solid ripoff of Hound of the Baskervilles, Sherlock Holmes. But yeah, don't be surprised at all. I mean, I draw from everything for inspiration, and that's part of the beauty of it. And that was part of the beauty of Pratchett was he drew from literature. He had books that were based on that were parodies of the Great Scottish Play by William Shakespeare.
Yep.
Things like that. So yeah, don't be surprised at all. If something happens where you end up investigating the apparent suicide of a pair of star-crossed lovers.
I love it.
Or something along that line.
I actually really love that, partially because the world, from what I know of Terry Pratchett, is based in that idea of parody and deconstruction, I love parody and deconstruction as a genre because when done right, it's a wonderful love letter to something, and I love that parody allows you to sort of pull from all different kinds of places and sources, and it all still feels cohesive. And I've actually had a lot of fun myself playing in games that were like very heavy, like literary reference based. I played a game in college that we were basically playing detectives and adventurers it was a very like realistically grounded game for the most part, but we were all playing investigators in like Victorian England, and all of our adventures were like Victorian novels and things like that. So like we had a Pinocchio adventure, and we had 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea adventure, and just all these different stories. It was really, really fun. That was a really fun adventure.
Yeah, I watched Sam Riegel do a one-shot one time where it was completely Disney themed.
The Disney Love Cruise?
Yeah, the Disney Love Cruise.
Oh,
and they were like doing their best to avoid copyright infringement as much as possible, and it was the greatest thing I've seen in a while.
Warning for anyone who looks for that, it is raunchy as hell. They are very drunk. It is very sexual. It is not for children.
No.
It is not for adults who have any like I was uncomfortable at some points, and I was there for it. It was great. But be warned.
Yeah, if you go to church every Sunday, don't watch it.
Yeah.
Because it is not for the weak.
Yeah, there's I think you guys are going to find that there's going to be a lot of stuff that I'm going to draw from literature.
Well, I'm fucked because I don't read a lot of books.
Wow.
I love literature. I love reading. So
I watch a lot
I'm
of
going to
movies,
have some fun with that. Well, even there, a lot of classic literature has been absorbed into the lexicon just by existing in different forms like that. So you're probably going to be familiar with a lot of things. Also, I think our glasses are the same or very close to it.
Yeah.
I just noticed. I looked at you and I was
they
like...
They are. All three of us.
But yeah, so...
We bought a 3-pack.
Nice. I love also when a reference like that, when you have those references and it's done subtly enough that like you don't necessarily know right away, like there's just clues as to what's happening until like a reveal or something like that. I love things like that.
Next month's game is already in the works, guys, just so you know.
Okay.
That's good.
And next month's game is inspired by ballet.
Ooh.
Black Swan?
No.
Nutcracker Prince.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think you correct the case there, Nutty. Okay. I'll see you
I
later,
hate
guys.
so much sometimes. I swear to God.
I forget how bad I can be with puns.
I've never met a pun I didn't like.
Sorry, Internet.
Do we have another question then?
Yeah, go ahead and roll a d10, Colby.
I'll roll for this one. That's a 2.
A 2?
Trois.
A 3?
Actually,
Okay.
no, it'd be deux.
A 2?
Fuck, I hate French.
Oh, that's right. Trois, quatre, cinq.
What?
Trois.
Phrasing.
Anyway. Phrasing. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting mine because these things are awesome. They're like big Celtic things.
Show me that again. That looked awesome. Ooh, I like the size of that too.
Thanks. That's what she said. And
No, that is really awesome. My problem with like fancy dice like that is that sometimes they're really hard to read, but those look large enough that like the numbers don't get lost in them.
oh yeah, if I have a hard time reading these, then I need to stop playing D&D. All right, so you rolled a 2. This one is for moi. It says, Reynard seems to have a very clear-cut moral compass. What brought that about? Good question. So, Sir Reynard Ramsbottom is basically like your really annoying scout leader kiss-ass. Like the one that was trying to get all the badges. You know, so that without giving away too much, because I don't want to, well, you know, character reveal stuff. We want to save it for the story, but without giving too much away, as his human form, he was a paladin and essentially a Boy Scout. Just Dudley Do-Right, kind of do-gooder. I think what brought it about, to answer this question specifically, would be that I always go like chaotic neutral, or just characters that are bound to fuck shit up in some sort of way, as James would probably say Oscar is pretty good at. So I wanted somebody that was going to be very on the, like, very tunnel vision, on the straight and narrow, lawful good, as annoying as it can possibly be, because I know those kind of players. I've come across them before, and especially when they're like lawful good in real life, they're really annoying to play with. So I wanted that kind of like annoying do-gooder in the group that I knew was going to be full of misfits. So kind of to counterbalance.
I have to admit, I love Reynard. He's a fun character, and I'm really hoping to fuck with him.
I'm sure you will, man. Discworld does not seem like a very bright place for Reynard. Let's see, chat. Don't forget, there is our links all over the place that you can join our Patreon and join to support our channel. But also, more importantly, as of right now, you are here hanging out with us. So jump in chat, ask questions, whatever you got on your mind. Doesn't matter. What color underwear am I wearing? Is Colby wearing any underwear? Doesn't matter. Just get to it, chat. Get to it. Alright, I will roll for this one. And I will take that question off the board. Reynard seems to have a very clear-cut moral compass. Gone. Let's do 4. Alright. What's your first thoughts about that? Okay. This one goes for the 2 players below James on the screen. what was your first thoughts about Discworld and playing in a campaign set there? Colby, you wanna?
Okay. Having not experienced too much of Discworld, like I know of it as a place, mostly through just the cultural nerd osmosis. Like it's the sort of thing that, as a geek, you just hear talked about so much in like see these sort of reverent whispers talking about like certain aspects of the story and the storytelling. But just from what I knew, it was a place where anything could happen. Like there was no normal in Discworld. And so I made a character who was ready for anything. And so far it's, we started out pretty simply so far, and I can't wait to just get into more stories. And like the format that we're going for allows for such wildly different takes from like one arc to the next and one story to the next, that I'm really excited to get into that. And to see how weird Discworld can be.
Yeah, I'll follow up with that. So I did a little research before playing the game, and again, not a reader, so I just started watching as much Terry Pratchett material as I could find online between what is that new one, Tubi and Amazon Prime. So I started watching The Color of Magic. What else? Obviously I finished up the Good Omens, which is just phenomenal, but and then there was, what was the one, James, that you recommended to me?
They're on Amazon Prime right now. You can watch Going Postal.
That's the one.
The other one I did for you, The Color of Magic, and also Hogfather, which is a timely piece for this time of year, as it is Terry Pratchett's Christmas story.
Mm-hmm.
That's still, I think, of all of his books, and I mean, I've read every single one of them. I have every single book that the man wrote. And I think of all of them, just the overall message of Hogfather, to me, is probably one of the most inspiring things the man ever wrote. And the entire book is about belief. And if you've ever read any of Pratchett's books before, you know that he delves into that belief a lot. And I'm trying to find this here real quick. But there was a quote in the book that I always loved, and it was when he talks about it's Death talking to his granddaughter, and they're talking about the Hogfather and tooth fairies and things like that. And she says to Susan, Death's granddaughter, says, "I'm not stupid. You're saying humans need fantasies to make life bearable." And Death says, "Really?" As if it was some kind of pink pill. No, humans need fantasy to be human, to be the place where the falling angel meets the rising king. And it's just this whole idea of the fact that belief is what keeps us going. It's having that bit of fantasy, that bit of wonder that makes life worth living. And I always loved that about that book. It's just such a great message out of that book. And if you've never read Hogfather, read it. And if you're one of those people that don't like to read, Chris, watch it.
Yeah, it's on my list.
You will not be disappointed in it. It's such a great story.
I was struggling with going postal, just because I always watch it real late at night and then I end up falling asleep halfway through an episode. Those episodes are really long too.
Yeah. Well, Going Postal is sort of his take on the story of John Henry.
Okay.
And the man against the machine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's where he takes these stories and these stories of just humanity and puts them into this setting, into this world, and he makes that story his own. I think is just what makes his stuff so cool to read.
Yeah,
and I'll just finish. Sorry, bud. I'll just finish answering the question because the first, I would say, my initial thoughts were obviously I don't know anything about this, and then when I looked into it and found out that it's a flat earther's paradise, and on the back of held by 4 elephants on the back of a turtle flying through space, I was like, yeah. And I've known you for a while now, James, so like I know your humor, and I was like, I know exactly, well, not precisely, but I know exactly where this is going, and I am all about it. It is so like we have the Final Horizon, which we've already just like took everything to a serious level and just went down a wet slide. But you have that as our flagship campaign, and now we have the Discworld campaign, and I know that's going to be our golden poster child for the comedy when you're really looking to just like laugh throughout the entire thing. Like I know that's where it's going.
Stupid.
Yeah. Right.
With 2 O's.
Derpenders. But yeah, and as far as playing in a campaign set there, oh wow, like our first one was just like, we're in it, dude. We're in it, and we're first level, so we can't do shit. Like we can die like today, this first session in Discworld. How embarrassing would that be?
And Bob nearly found that out twice.
Like Discworld has death literally walking amongst the world and making choices whether or not he wants to take you. We are the type of group that would fuck that up and all die. So it's a miracle that we didn't the first session. It really is. I'm done now. So.
Okay. Oh. Hey, we do have a question down here.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and read it off there, James.
And Sheets Junkie wants to know, do you feel a deep emotional connection to any character you've played?
Ooh, that's a good one for everybody.
Oh man, I can answer this very simply. Absolutely. There's more than one character that I've played because they were who I needed to be at that moment.
That's deep.
Yeah, it's simple though. Like, I think that when you're creating a character, the headspace that you're in really determines how you make that character. Like, there are times where I've just like hit a button on a random character generator and been like, okay, who is this character? And I build a character around that idea. Like, okay, this is what it gave me. Who would make this person? What kind of person would be this? But there's been times where I'm just like, I am feeling this way. I need to express or to explore this feeling, this idea in myself. And I sit down and I make that person, I make that character to give me an outlet for what I need to be and what I need to do. I think one that comes to mind is, and this is one that I have a common memory that I share with Remy. For those who don't know, he and I have been friends since I was 12. Since I was in middle school, we've been very close friends, and we've played a lot of D&D together. And one campaign in particular, I was playing a knight who, throughout the campaign, for just some reason, some ungodly reason, just kept being mind controlled throughout the campaign. Like every session, someone was taking control of his mind, and he was just struggling with it throughout the entire campaign. And as a character, he was struggling with, being who he saw himself as, and struggling with those ideas. And throughout the campaign, his journey and his growth really helped me to analyze those growths in myself, because I was 17, 18 at the time, coming through a lot of my life and childhood, and it was what I needed at the time. It was what I needed to explore in myself. And so, yeah, I've absolutely had deep connections with characters, and that's just the strongest one that comes to mind.
Nice. What about you, James?
Oh, geez. I mean, I'm going to go outside the realm of tabletop. I'm a LARPer, and I have been for, like 25 years. Again, showing my age. And currently, I'm playing in a game called Dead Legends, which is a Weird West alternate history game set in the Black Hills of the Dakota Territory. And we're currently in 1881. It'll become 1882 in January.
Okay.
And my character is a former cavalry sergeant with the Union Army during the Civil War. The Civil War actually ended in this world, in this universe, ended in a stalemate between the Union and the Confederacy. And my character was captured at the Second Siege of Vicksburg and was paroled by the Confederates and went home to the Wyoming Territory to his wife and his daughters, only to have them disappear while he was away, away in Salt Lake City selling livestock. And he came back to the Black Hills looking for them, and that's where he comes into the game. And but he's a very emotionally scarred individual. There's a lot of stuff going on in his head, and in a lot of ways, he's me. I'm a combat veteran. I've seen things that I wouldn't wish on anyone, and in a way, it's almost therapy playing this character when I would go, that once a month, that one weekend a month going out and playing this character got to be almost like therapy, being around these people and stuff, and just being able to kind of, how would this person deal with this, and kind of, step into his boots for the weekend. And his story as well is written. I mean, I know when he will end, what his ending, I'm pretty sure what his ending is going to be. And it's gonna be hard when I have to say goodbye to him. It's gonna be a really hard time trying to say goodbye to that character, because he's so much a part of me.
Yeah, I can understand that for sure. Yeah, I would say for me it would be a character named Treble that I played on a stream that used to be called Total Tabletop, or Horsemen of Hoda. I don't even know if it exists anymore. But anyway, the process between applying to the show and getting on, and then doing this whole audition thing, and then meeting the team, and then getting voted on. It was like almost 6 months, and then another 3 months on top of that till like we actually started broadcasting the stream for the campaign. So there was a lot of just even trying to get in and beating other people out and stuff like that. And then character building took like a month and a half to 2 months, because there was the way the story worked is it's the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and you actually physically start at level 20 and then go back in time and then work through your levels depending on how you decide to travel through time on whichever random level you decide on. Now, so that meant in Roll20 we had to make 20 different character sheets. So plus we had to make a thoroughly good scripted backstory that tied in with what the campaign had, what the DM had, what the people in the background helping writing the campaign had to do with all this stuff. And so I came up with this character called Treble, and he had a treble clef tattoo on his ear. He was essentially a Nico. And for those that don't know what that is, you anime fans out there, it's part human, part cat. So he was half gnome, half tabaxi, and so he was 4 feet tall. He had the ears, the teeth, the eyes, the tail, the claws, and he was a bard, of course. And his backstory was pretty dark, but he was super charismatic and happy and just upbeat and always trying to cheer everybody up all the time. But his backstory was super dark and not happy at all. And just jumping into that character on stream really got into it. I even went as far as to getting cat ears and the teeth to put in and a cloak for him and all this stuff. I matched his outfit from the artist that designed it and all that stuff. I'm ranting on too long for this question, but yes, the answer is yes, a deep connection with my character. And when I left that show, it was it took me a good 6 months to kind of shake it was like a breakup. It was like a legit breakup, because I wasn't that person anymore, and that was definitely, like you said, like you guys both said, that character was a part of me and someone that I could escape into and live vicariously through when I didn't want to be me. When all the shit and turmoil in real life was hitting the fan, as soon as that green light, red light goes live, and you're in character, none of that matters anymore. You're them. So I definitely had a very emotional attachment to Treble, and I made him as close to parts of me as I could too, that parts that shined and parts that were really dark about myself too. So yeah. Anyway, thank you for the question sheets, Junkie. James, why don't you give us a roll of the die? If it's anything above if it's any, you can roll a D8 or just roll whatever, and then if it's above an 8, we'll just make it 8.
Well, that's easy enough.
I'm so glad I didn't have my mic muted this time. That would have been a really rough one to go back on.
Yeah, that would have sucked. At least don't touch the mute.
Yeah, 5 minutes of just...
Don't touch the mute.
5 minutes of just, yeah.
Silence.
Yeah.
I really hope someone could read lips at that point.
All right, what do we got, James? 4. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, this question is for James. What inspired you to start a campaign? Oh, you might have already touched base with this, but what inspired you to start a campaign in Terry Pratchett's Discworld?
Oh man, that's something I've always wanted to do. It's something that I've had a Discworld campaign kind of on the back burner for years and years. I had a hiatus away from gaming for probably about 5 years, where I didn't do a lot of any kind of gaming other than, online stuff, video games, that kind of stuff, MMOs, and my LARPing. But yeah, it's always been there, man. I have wanted to do this. It's such a rife environment for playing a game. It's just, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, it seemed like it was a really good environment for, well, kind of like we were talking about how, the characters that we play are very much, what we need at the time. Sometimes it seems like this was the world you needed to tell the story that you needed right now.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. That's awesome. I think we all have those stories and those places in media that resonate with us.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that for sure. So, and if you're watching live, I'm trying something new here. This is just a little technical thing. I finally landed on a song that I have in my library of lore stuff. That's like a decent, chill, like Renaissance-y kind of theme to it. So I just put it on loop now, and I turned it up just a hair.
Cool.
So if it starts being too loud,
theme to it. So I just
Maybe.
put it on loop.
Just put on some straight up junky Miles Davis.
Whose
free
feed?
form jazz.
Whose feed is that?
I just put it on loop.
Whose
That might have been mine. I'm sorry.
Oh,
It's good.
I just heard my voice. Like, it's a little creepy. I have enough issues with my own voice. Don't make me hear it on stream.
Right?
Right.
Well,
Stream.
Well, that's like when you did the voiceover and altered it for the Halloween game, like the voice that you like lowered my mine down to for that intro, that's what my voice sounds like in my head. Like within my head, that's what it sounds like. That deep, like creepy resonant sound.
Right.
That's what I hear in my own head when I talk. Like just bouncing around in here. So like,
Welcome
I
to the
hate
hollow
he-
streets of Raysfeld.
yeah, welcome to the hollow streets of Rysfeld. Yeah, what you heard there is what I hear in my head. So like, I hate hearing my own voice because it sounds nothing like what it sounds like when I talk.
I hear that. Literally hear that. Yeah, no, I get whenever you, I don't mean to sidetrack too far, but when you send me audio files of projects you're working on, like I totally can hear the tone, whether or not it's in your voice exactly, or like I just when I'm listening to it, I'm like I know what he's going for. So, like the robot one, like I threw it way up there, and your Halloween one threw it down, and
Yeah, I can't always quite hit the tone I'm going for, but I think I get like the essence of it really well. So
yeah, the hatchet body spray though, that was spot on. I
Yeah,
didn't have to do anything with that except for just double the tracks and like lower them real low to bring out the awesome.
yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. Anyway, so let's see, where the hell were we with that? James,
Yeah.
oh, right.
Holy turn.
Yeah, yeah, James, you were talking about your inspiration to Discworld.
Yes.
And yeah, I gotta say, I'm not answering the question because that was directly for you, but I did want to piggyback off that and say that I remember when we started up that Sunday, and you made it publicly known that you were coming out from a 6-year slumber of DMing, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I gotta stop and just say thank you for that. To
Yeah.
bless us with your return, man. Like, I'm just really, really happy that we can help put it out there for other people and hopefully your friends that know you to see as well. Because if they don't know your DM and poo-poo on them, because
As a side note, I was just for fun. I'm going to throw this out there as a bit of stupid trivia about me. If you're familiar at all with the old White Wolf World of Darkness games, the vampire mage,
Oh, yeah.
Ray, all that shit, which was, started up in the 90s, got huge, everywhere you looked, it was fucking vampires and shit.
Yeah.
It was like fucking Twilight all the time. Of course, me and my friends played this in college. Now, I was in college at the very beginning of 1990 through 95, because I was a double major like a fucking moron. So I started by playing the game, but I've always been one of those people. I like to run. I love to run games. I love to build a world. So I started running this game that we just called the San Francisco Chronicle. Not to try to steal the thunder from the actual newspaper, but this is what we call the game. And what I did is it started off as a vampire game, then we incorporated werewolf, then mage, then changeling, brave. We ended up with all of the games combined into one, all with overlapping and interwoven storylines and stuff going into this one big crescendo at the end. The entire campaign was based on Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh,
okay.
Kurt Russell?
Yes. With Martin Lopan and shit like that. And here's the kicker. That chronicle actually ended 6 years ago.
Okay.
When I stopped DMing and game mastering. So the game itself actually ran for almost 20 years.
Wow.
Damn. Yeah, that's insane. I mean,
It was just sort of like, by the time it ended, we sat there and I just went like this. Then that's sort of what made me go, fuck it, for 6 years. Because I had put almost 20 years of my life into that game. And when it finally ended, when I finally said enough is enough, we're ending this, I was just like, I'm tired.
Yeah, that happens.
Jesus, 20 years, yeah.
But yeah, it's funny because the guys that I play with, these people are all over the country. We actually played our games a lot of times the way we're doing it now, where we're on, Discord or something of the like. We were actually doing it back in the day on, who remembers IRC?
AOL? What is it?
On like AOL and like IRC chat.
Yeah.
And we were actually doing it on there for a few years, and then we started.
So just a shit ton of typing and reading and waiting for the internet to catch up.
Yep.
Yeah, kudos to you, because I've tried to play by post games and I just can't. Call my millennial mind too like attention addled, but I can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I was 81 born, and so like I'm regrettably in like the beginning phase of millennial generation, but and my heart still goes back to Gen X, but yeah, I still have the millennial mentality full on. Like, there is no way I could sit through a process like that. You would have lost me 5 minutes into it, like just sitting there going, what the fuck is the DM gonna do? Like, yeah. You don't even have the Facebook chat 3 dots floating around going.
Nope, you just have no idea until it shows up.
Is somebody gonna say something?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It was a bitch. I was so happy when the world went broadband.
Yeah.
And you could go to like webcams and shit like that. And then we ended up playing that game. Some of the players were on webcams from literally all over the country, because these were people I went to college with that had gone on to other things afterwards, grad school in different parts of the country, jobs in different parts of the country. And yeah, almost 20 goddamn years I played that game and ran it.
That's insane. I mean, if you take the 0 away, that's my longest campaign I've ever been a part of.
But just so you guys know too, I have another campaign in the works that if we ever have an idea for that we want to try something else, it's there, man.
Dude, that's great. That's great news. I mean, I've even been like Colby and I have been talking about like just the possibilities of what we can bring, and I asked him if he would mind doing something along the lines of like that dark dramatic kind of theme that he brought with the Halloween one shot to actually, you know, bring something on a much more serious level of play to the channel, just to have that variety, because we all love having fun and the lulls around the table, but like it's always sometimes when you're in campaigns where everybody's waiting their turn to get the last lull in, like sometimes you find yourself missing that opportunity to like do some legit serious role play, because like it's in you, it's in all of us, like we want to play that angry sad moment.
This other campaign that I've worked on, and it's another one. It's like I come up with stupid ideas for campaigns and I write them down.
Yeah.
And I go back to them like 6 months later, and I try to figure out what the hell I wrote, and then I'll start working off of it. And this one is actually an idea. It's something. It's kind of a different take on a regular D&D type campaign. What it would be is it would be a generational campaign. In other words, you would play your characters for a specific time, and then make a new character that would be the next generation.
Huh.
Okay. Like
that's...
legacy characters in comics.
Like basically it's kind of like a legacy campaign. So what your characters do in that, like in say part 1 of the campaign, is going to shape the world for part 2.
And they would be
shaped for part 3,
like,
and keep going.
So you would be playing like the father at first, and then
you don't even have to be the father. It could just be, you could have another character, but say like you had a paladin who was a great hero to this town, you know, saved the city from, you know, rampaging hordes of undead or something like that. And then when he, in the next generation, you know, he's passed on. He's now passed away. He's dead. He's become a hero. He's becoming a hero of legend. Well, your characters may pass through this town at some point and see statues to him or a shrine to him.
Yeah.
You know? And they tell the story of this great hero who saved the country, you know, who saved the countryside from the rampaging hordes of, you know.
Yeah. I always imagine something like, Critical Role is a good example for this. Something like the Darrington Brigade, where you know, like some, you know, a hero starts their own like group of heroes or mercenaries or like their own land. You know, like old school D&D. One of your rewards was property. Like that was one of your goals, was leveling up to get your own like fiefdom essentially, and like being a character who grew up on their land and was like trained by them as part of the militia, or someone who was saved by them like during one of the like the great catastrophes or events of the previous campaign. Like there's so many ways to be connected to somebody. Maybe you're part of the same order if they were like a paladin, a monk, a cleric or something, and you hear stories of, or they led your order. Like there's so many great ways to be connected. And you can even go the opposite direction. Maybe you are, you know, someone who has a terrible history with these characters. Maybe like someone in your family or someone in your lineage had opposed them or was part of the collateral damage for a huge battle, and you blame them. Like there's so many ways to tie into the legacy of a D&D campaign. Yeah.
And I've always that's something I had written down, this idea about a legacy or a generational campaign. And about 3 months ago or so, I actually pulled it out and started going through it. And I
Nice.
was going, yeah, I could do this, man. This would be kind of cool, see if I could run something like this. So it's an idea for the future.
Right on. So, hey, with that being said, it's about 8 after 7, so why don't we take a quick bathroom break from maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes? Sheets Chunky, we see you in there. We love you so much for tuning in. Thank you for sticking around, and we are definitely going to get to that question that you asked, so don't go away. We will be back in a few minutes. A few times, too.
Incoming transmission.
Name's Bird. I've been dragged through war, did my time in the mines, and hell, I got pulled into sending people to the same fate. So I decided to take my life back. No more giving it away. And yet, I'm serving time for all the mistakes that got made, and not nearly all of them are mine.
Bonjour, it is I, the magnificent Pierre Pelletier. You look at me like I am a washed-up actor. No, this is all part of my fantastic plan. Does the washed-up actor star in every film on the planet Magawan? No, I may have some, weaknesses. The bogus sugar, making love, gambling. Perhaps I took it a little too far and got myself in trouble on 23. The Golden Hive has nothing on me. This is all part of my magnificent training as a galaxy's best actor. However...
This is your Captain Sentry Zerzo speaking. If you can all stop nubbing around and get your butts in your seats and strap in, we'll go ahead and get this show on the road because, the folks that own the ship are going to notice any minute now that I'm up here trying to take it. So, let me see if I can get this armor turned off first. That'll probably help make the trip a whole lot easier for everyone, huh? Okay, everybody strapped in? Good. Time to go. See you, bye.
My name is Elias. I wander in search of the secrets that planets alive and dead hold. The greatest mystery that I work to unravel, why my brothers and sisters slumber while I remain awake. I am a star, wrapped in flesh and wandering.
What is lore?
What is lore?
What is lore?
Lore is a group of amazing, creative people.
Pure, unbridled.
Shenanigans.
A league of rolling expeditioners.
Who have come together to play tabletop role-playing games.
Voice actors, theater kids, musicians, pop culture fans, content creators, tabletop nerds alike.
Which, personally, are some of my favorite things to do.
My favorite thing to do.
And pretty early on in the process, we came together and we decided that we were going to share our experiences with you all.
Streaming live play D&D on Twitch.
And anyone else who wants to watch and listen and experience it with us. And to that end, we've all come together and we are all creating amazing things.
Homebrewed from scratch content.
Between art and videos and scripts and just the game that we're playing, and not just one. We have our primary game, The Final Horizon, that is space fantasy
by R.P. Davis,
but we also have other games that we're working on.
James's Discworld campaign.
So many amazing things that we're going to be producing in the future, and we can't wait.
We can't wait
for you all to join along with us. So, what is lore?
What is lore?
What is lore?
It's amazing people sharing our amazing experiences with more amazing people.
Welcome to your first day as an employee of Halcyon Corporation at our L.O.R.E mining facility at Hadier 4. You must be as excited as us for you to contribute to the most profitable mineral extraction operation in the sector. Halcyon takes pride in the safety of our facilities, with 14 hours since the last injury or death on site. To reinforce safety, do not be alarmed by the presence of armed security personnel. The strikers are here for your protection. It has been 0 hours since the last injury or death on site. Have a good day, and remember, Halcyon is here for you.
Halcyon Corporation is not responsible for the death, injury, or missings of any employee, personnel, or cyborg.
Elias, mysterious man from the sky, running for star of the show.
I swear I will burn every tree down on this planet if he kill our... I don't know why I'm feeling super protective over this Galactic.
Promises to burn down every tree on the planet, but what does he do?
I'm gonna try to sneak out of the ship.
Exactly. Runs like a little bitch.
God damn it!
Potty mouth.
In space, no one can smell you stink, but they can smell your awesome. If they don't smell your awesome, they know they smell loser. Hatchet body spray smells like awesome. If you can't smell like your own awesome, get Hatchet. Hatchet scents run the gamut from awesome to more awesome. Awesome astral punch. Punch your nostrils in the nostrils. Awesome. Mega Moon Doom. Zero gravity. All doom. Awesome. Savage supernova. All the fury of a dying star in your armpits. Awesome. Not enough awesome for you? Well, you're wrong. Think you're as awesome as Hatchet? You're even more wrong. The most wrong. But don't be wrong, be awesome! Hatchet body spray.
In no way, shape, or form does Hatchet body spray assure you that you'll be awesome, more awesome, or the awesomest.
Play it backwards.
Welcome to the Streets of Ankh-Morpork, or more importantly, welcome to the Special Investigation Unit, the most modern police force on the Disc. In the grand tradition of Terry Pratchett's novels of the Discworld, this 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons campaign will be a satirical look at modern life using the police procedural formula used by television shows like CSI, NCIS, and yes, even Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Reno 911. It's meant to be silly, irreverent, and maybe even poke some fun at ourselves along the way. So join us the first Sunday of each month on Twitch as we create our own stories in one of the most fantastic fantasy settings ever dreamt of, Terry Pratchett's Discworld.
Whoops, wrong one. There we go. We are back. Thank you for sticking around, Sheets Junkie. See you in there. And 3 viewers. I know it's always one of us. So
one doesn't count. That's
yeah.
I was gonna say one is me. So
well,
Sheets Junkie, go. It's just you.
Right on. Thanks for sticking around, Sheets Junkie. So let's get right to the question she asked in chat, because I promised that we wouldn't forget. Sheets Junkie asks, are there any other types of games you would like to play that you haven't?
Oh my god, the list is too long. The list is too long. I mean, we filled one of my gaming dreams. We're playing in Spelljammer. That was always one of my dreams. I really want to play in Shadowrun, the Shadowrun setting, which is this amazing, interesting fantasy cyberpunk world. So the premise of it is, I don't know the exact dates, but somewhere a few decades before modern time, magic basically magic basically came into existence in the real world, and like people mutated into these fantasy races, and dragons are a thing, and like it's still very much a cyberpunk world. So the world is this dystopian place controlled by mega corporations and whatnot. It's just that there's like hacking in Matrix style to digital worlds and things like that, but it's also got elves and dwarves and fae and magic and all that shit, and it's just this fucking awesome combination of things, and I love it. James, I know you're talking about a bunch of World of Darkness stuff. There's a bunch of different World of Darkness settings that I want to play in. I really want to play a DC, like a superhero campaign. The DC universe has some really good has a really good game system, and I want to play a superhero game. It's just one thing that I've only gotten to do really short term for like a one-shot LARP that I did, but I love superheroes and I love the idea of playing in a superhero setting. So yeah, there's too many. I want to play in everything, all these different unique places. I know that not everybody likes this part of gaming, especially I find like newer generations of RPG players don't tend to be in RPGs for the system itself. Like, it's not about like the mechanics, the crunch of the system. They're there for the fluff, the game itself. But I'm the kind of guy, I really like the crunch of a system. Like, I don't mind a really weird, complex game system that's hard to figure out, because I like that, like, skill challenge. I like the idea of having a challenge to building my character. But I know not everybody does. So yeah, that's it. There's so many.
Yeah. God, I really I'm not aware of a whole lot that's out there, but I would say the one that is currently very popular because it's coming out on a video game, Cyberpunk.
Mm-hmm.
I see that being streamed sometimes even, and I think I really like synthwave cyberpunk stuff, and I think that would be a really neat engine to explore. And yeah, like I mean that's pretty much it for me. What about you, James?
There's a couple, and I've talked to you guys about it right when we were starting out in L.O.R.E. I really want to do Battle Lords of the 23rd Century.
Okay.
Which is kind of hard sci-fi, but it's sort of like The Expanse meets The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Okay.
Ooh, I love that.
Only because there is a race in it called the Ram Python that is basically a 9-foot tall bipedal lizard with a really shitty attitude. In the game, there's actually a table in the rule books that's a Ram Python reaction table that when you piss one off, you make a roll on it. And one of them is this thing they call a death puppet, where the Ram Python will take the offender, jam his arm up their ass, and use them like a muppet. It's just, I can see the look of concern on Chris's face just picturing that. But it's one of those games. I love that game, and actually, the basic concept of Sentry, the seven-fingered, slate-built kind of crazy acrobat, actually comes out of Battle Lords in the 23rd Century from a race in that game called the Orion Road.
Nice.
And stuff.
Very
So
awesome.
I kind of brought him into D&D. The other game is this guy right here.
Oh
Paranoia.
shit! Yeah, I've seen
man, yeah.
I've seen way back in the day on Geek and Sundry when Critical Role, some of the cast members would play with the other Geek and Sundry cast and play some of that. Pretty weird. Is that the one with the Jenga tower?
This is the one where your character is a clone. You work for Friend Computer in a future society. It's kind of like Fallout.
Yeah.
Okay.
But your characters are clones, and don't get attached to your characters. Because basically every character is kind of stabbing everybody else in the back as they go. Because you work with secret societies and things like that. And you're constantly being monitored by Friend Computer, and if you should step out of line or do something that could be deemed treasonous or heretical by Friend Computer, you will then be summarily executed. And your next clone will be activated.
Right.
You know. And it's a great game to play. You know, your character dies, and all of a sudden out of like a little sluice chute from somewhere inside the Alpha complex comes your clone, just sort of like, oh, okay, let's go. Picks up your gear and goes wandering off with it, you know. But it's one of those games. It's just, yeah, I love Paranoia. It's one of those games I've always liked to play, but it's so hard to find a group to play it with.
Nice.
Because it's definitely not a play nicely together game.
Yeah. I've watched it played a few times back in the good old days of Geek and Sundry. Not saying that there's anything wrong with it now. I mean,
how
back
long
when I
have
was
you
watching
played
that
it?
program a lot.
Yeah.
Never played.
That is a first printing.
Oh, wow.
Right there. This is the first printing box set from West End Games, which I don't even think exists anymore. But that's how long I've played it.
That's awesome. So Sheets Junkie chimes in again and says with another question, I've played and ran alternate reality games previously and have brought back my love for these games. Further explains an alternate reality game is an interactive networked narrative that uses the real world as a platform and employs transmedia storytelling to deliver a story that may be altered by players' ideas or actions. And then follows with the question, would any of you be interested in anything like that?
I'd definitely be interested to learn about it. I've never been involved in anything like that, and I'm always down to learn more about the gaming space.
What about you, James?
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds pretty. That actually sounds pretty freaking cool. I gotta say, that's.
Damn you, Remy.
Yeah, that would be pretty wild.
Remy just redeemed 500 points for a dad dab. It's such, like corny little things that I do on my gaming channel, so I gotta own up to it. And this is just gonna be horrible.
But that was me.
Oh, that's you?
Yeah.
I figured it's because it said
Mr. Mix.
Mr. Mix. I thought it was like Mr. Remy. Anyway, so
yes.
Damn
That's
you, James.
My screen name on here is Mr. Mix. Mr. Mixoplex.
Well, there you go. There's some extra content for you viewers. Yeah, to answer that question though, Sheets Junkie, I absolutely, of course. I think I can speak for all of our cast that we would all love to learn more about that and at least, check it out sometime. And we're always open for new players to pop in, guest on different, special occasions that we have coming up in the future and stuff. So, hit us up if you're interested in being a player or even a guest DM for something when we're in the need for it. You never know what's going to happen in the future. So, what else? Let's get back to the questions here. I haven't rolled in a while, so let's see what we got. 3. All right. Was there any kind of inspiration to the characters you're playing? And I believe this goes to Colby and myself. So, Colby, you want to take that one?
Yeah, this was an interesting one that you'll find a little bit more about Silui as the game goes on. Obviously, it's going to depend a lot on any interactions he ends up having with elves. Interestingly, I'm not going to say too much, but I will say that Silui is not a natural half-elf. Silui was not born as a half-elf. Silui became a half-elf at some point in his life. And the way that he became a half-elf gives him a lot of disdain for elves. And I thought of this character because I was thinking through like the legacy of gaming and like the space that that races like half-elves have played throughout gaming history, like the mentality about them and where they fit in like the social environment of gaming worlds, and how that has shifted. And nowadays the half-elf characters fill a lot of the role that half-elves used to, and now half-elves have taken this new role as sort of like interspecies like negotiators almost, rather than like because half-elves used to be viewed as these sort of like bastard half-breeds that were only sort of vaguely hated by both of their parentages and not trusted by anyone. But that's changed over the years. And so I was thinking like a lot of the ways that half-elves come about used to be very problematic. So you would have non-consensual encounters, or like an elf meets a human in a brothel, and a half-elf is the product, and they're sort of unwanted. And I wanted a very different reason for a half-elf to exist, and how that would come about. I actually dipped a good bit into traditional lore for Fae, like particularly like European lore for Fae for this, and the idea behind a little bit of changelings, and like the idea of the Fae taking people and replacing them with like a changeling child. Silui fits into those concepts in an interesting way a lot. And also, like, if we're talking about Sherlock Holmes. If you know Shakespeare at all, Silui is kind of tied to a certain Shakespeare character in a way, as far as his background goes. So yeah, he's got an interesting mix of a lot of just weird headspacey things that I have, where I draw these connections between seemingly disparate things. So it's just who I am. I have these weird intellectual thoughts of connecting all these really weird disparate points and bringing them all together into this character. So yeah, he's an interesting character. He's got a lot of weird connections to the world because of that.
Cool. Before I answer, I want to just point out, Sheets Junkie just chimed in saying that she joined our Patreon, so that would make her our first official patron, our first lore keeper. So I don't have the sound effects, but
I was gonna say we need to make like a special title for Sheets Junkie.
Yeah.
Like the first lore keeper.
Yeah, I gotta go log in there and check it out, and then I'll send you the Discord invite so that you can get your perks and take a look at what level you are. So see what all kind of ass kissing we're gonna have to be doing for you, Sheets Junkie. Our first lore keeper, yay! Thank you so much. Damn it, the question. Was there any kind of inspiration to the characters you're playing? So, Reynard Ramsbottom, I'm really excited to give this answer because it was a fucking joke in Discord, and when James actually replied like, "Do it," like, I mean, not word specific, but when you gave me the green light for that, I was like, I was kidding. Okay, all right, I mean, like, if you can somehow homebrew, help me figure this out. And then you just started giving me ideas one after the other, and I was like, oh, yeah. And then it just started, like, as I was reading the stuff that you were pitching to me, it just started clicking in my head, like, you know what? He was a paladin in a dungeon, and a gelatinous cube consumed him, and his soul, like, somehow something happened, like, in the dungeon, and the cube became enchanted. His soul took it, and then his armor inside that was left behind or whatever was like God, help me out with this.
This is what happens when a resurrection goes badly.
I was gonna say it from what you're saying, it's like, so this gelatinous cube killed Reynard in his previous life. Yeah. And his soul bound itself to the gelatinous cube that killed him.
Right.
And he took this gelatinous cube body that he is now bound to and sort of like slurped it into his suit of armor, and now pilots his suit of armor like a mech suit, almost.
Yeah.
He's a man-sized Jaeger.
Yeah,
and I will let this out just because it's just our lore keeper and us here. I'm still undecided on whether or not he knows. You know what I mean?
Okay. Like he knows he's a slime. Like he knows that he is an ooze, but
or does he?
Well, I mean, he has said he does.
Yeah, he did. But I mean, you can always like pull that back.
Yeah, but at the same time, like the idea of, does he know where he came from? Like, does he know that he is a dead person? Basically, like that's absolutely something you can still play with, and like the levels of, like, does he consciously know? Does he unconsciously know? Or is it something where he just woke up and doesn't know what happened? Is it something where he knows but like he's like repressing it?
Yeah, like here's a perfect example. I've been watching Doom Patrol on HBO.
Okay.
And I can't remember the character's name, but the dude trapped in the robot body, not Cyborg. Cliff, yeah.
Cliff. Yeah.
Where like him coming to, realizing like he doesn't know it, but he's just a brain in a big tank of metal, you know?
Yeah.
So it's all his memories, but he can't feel anything. And like that's a perfect example of like where Reynard sits, where like he doesn't feel anything because he's dead, but he doesn't know he's dead.
Yeah. And he's a slime. Like he has. Yeah. Does he have any sensation whatsoever?
Right. And then what I kind of want to eventually like kind of spin into it is like the other character, the pilot that had the sentient thing like kind of like take over his body, and where it's like him and the thing inside of him like competing, and he kind of like wins and loses at times. Like I'm wondering if that might be something to explore with Reynard as well, where I don't even know shit about gelatinous cubes except for I fought them in Neverwinter on Xbox, and they're deadly as shit. But the thought process for me is like, does the gelatinous cube ever, like its conscience, if there is one, ever tend to start swaying into like taking over? And I think that's a lot of fun.
Oh, considering Reynard tried to eat he was eating one of the bandits, one of the assassins' heads.
Yeah, I think it's
maybe it did.
I was gonna say maybe it's not like a full consciousness, but maybe just like being in that form, like does Reynard like at some point start to lose himself? Like, is it just like an unconscious influence, like how Veth, when she was not, had these goblin tendencies because her body and her mind were in the body of a goblin, and she may not have done these things as a halfling,
as
but
Veth, right?
Yeah, but in that body there was a physiological push and desire for these responses, like being an ooze, like there's question as to how long this will last. Maybe like, is there a time limit? Like, what is the life expectancy of an ooze?
Right.
How long will this last? What's the life expectancy of an ooze? Will Reynard become a Roomba for dungeons?
Hey, that's an odious.
Someone throws salt at me.
Yeah. Oh God, no! Please don't. I did watch our episode that Sunday night, and I caught that reference where what was it? Somebody had salt or something nearby, and it went right over my head as a player. But I caught it later on the stream and was like, "Oh, that was good. That was clever." Like somebody making us. Yeah, Reynard doesn't want to be assaulted. That would be very bad for him. Just, I'm melting, like a fucking slug. Let's see. What else? All right. So why don't Colby roll me a die, please?
What size?
It doesn't matter. We only got 1, 2, 3, 6 left, so take your pick. D6?
Like a D6.
Like a D6.
4.
4. Alrighty. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's for James. What would it take? I asked Colby this last week, and I figured since you're debuting on the Lore Lounge, what would it take to get you to stop playing D&D?
What would it take to get me to stop playing D&D?
Yeah, and I'll give you my favorite answer because it came with our last guest.
I'm gonna say probably being cold and stiff in a box 6 feet underground.
Yeah.
Fair answer.
Either that or Hasbro really pisses me off.
That's a good one. Yeah. It's a really
Even
good
then,
answer.
like, would you find another game to play? Like,
oh yeah. I mean, I try not to. I don't like to limit myself to any one game. It just happens to be that yes, Dungeons and Dragons is what I'm playing currently. Would I like to do something else down the line? Yeah, absolutely. I would love to try to throw another game out there maybe. And there's things that I'm doing that I'm not on stream, and hopefully one day things will normalize again to the point where I'll actually be able to have a life, and maybe be able to game more than just that one day a week. Maybe have another day or something that I can go and game, or an evening where I can get together face to face with some of the folks around here and sit down over a table and laugh and eat pizza and throw dice at each other.
Miss it so much.
Yeah, you want to ask that one?
And I even know the answer to that one. Sheets Junkie's asking, what's your favorite way another player broke, like completely lost it?
Oh, another player? Not ourselves, but another player?
Oh yeah. I'm waiting for James's answer on this one for sure.
Okay. I need time to think, so I'm gonna go later.
I only have one thing to say about that: the invasion of Pupon.
That was a good one.
The invasion of Pupon by Nyogi, by a bunch of lawful evil arachnid slavers, 19th century France. What could possibly go wrong? And
Psychic
just the fact
slavers,
that-
don't forget.
Psychic slavers, yes, and Bob just pretty much disappearing from screen.
Yeah. Yeah, physically, literally, all of the adjectives.
Mm-hmm.
That is probably my favorite.
I'll give Colby a little bit more time to think. I would say in the most recent episode for James's campaign, I don't want to be too narcissistic, but when Bob was doing the pretending to like smoke, and he was doing the like the chipmunk on he's like pip pip, and then he exhaled, and I didn't know my helmet would do this, but I was vaping and I put the helmet down and all the vape poured out of the eyes and underneath and just went out. And Bob just died, and then fucking James, like, I love it. I had to make that TikTok video just because it was breaking your DM 101. Like, you were trying so hard to stay on path, and you just hear this, God damn it. Like, that was my favorite moment.
A lot of that's from me, though, both as a DM and as a player.
Yeah,
there's a lot of that going on with OPP as well.
Oh yeah,
God damn it.
Yeah.
All right, I have two.
Cool.
One, so one of them, anyone who has watched us play and played with me long enough knows that I have mythically bad luck with dice. I really do. And one instance in particular, I was playing with a group of my friends, and I was using a digital dice roller, so there were no issues with like weighted dice or improper rolls like that. I was a fighter, and I was attacking with 2 weapons, and I used an action surge, and I had advantage for all of them. So I rolled 6 dice in this round. 4 of those 6 rolls were 1s.
Oof.
The game stopped. It just stopped because everyone just needed time to process the fact that this had just happened. It was a good 15 minutes where they were just talking back and forth, and I was just chiming in, where they were just like, this isn't how. It was just, everyone was so flabbergasted. So it wasn't like an over the top moment, but it was just this deep resounding what? Close behind that, I think I did a fantastic job, and I tooting my own horn here, I loved everyone's reactions to the reveal at the end of the Halloween game. That was great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But I think the best moment, I wanted to give 2 because the best moment I feel wasn't someone else. It was, I think Remy has told the story before, but it was a game that I was running with him in it, where we were playing a one-shot, and it was, pretty standard. There's this den of debauchery. You have to go in, figure out the secret. Secret is there's a succubus who's been influencing things. But he walks in, and everyone's looking around, getting clues, and Remy's character has things sort of figured out, and Remy turns to me and says, "Do I know who owns this building?" I was like, "Yeah, you could. It's this person. You got it. History check, whatever." He's like, "Cool," and he leaves. He leaves, and I'm like, well, Remy, what are you doing? My brain is. I'm just begging. I have a puppy dog voice, and he's just. He's just he walks out, and he's just like, "I'm gonna go find the owner, and I'm gonna try to buy the building from him." And I'm like, Remy, why you do this? What? And I got them out of that scene, and I was just like, okay, before we move on, what the fuck? And for a solid 5 minutes, I just ranted at him and was like, Okay, I'm good now. And I proceeded from there, but that moment of just, I have never been derailed so hard. It was literally going forward. It was like going forward and suddenly the tracks lift up and fold back and you're just going exactly the opposite direction. That's how hard we derailed. Like it was ridiculous. So yeah, that's mine.
Pretty heavy shit, man.
Sheets Junkie, I'm sorry I made you cry.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, Sheets Junkie, if you can hear us, I'm sure you can, obviously. That's a dumb thing to say. Why don't you give us a number between 1 and 5? And while we're waiting on that response, I got a random question that just popped up, and it's not even just a theme question, but regarding James, your campaign, what were the two of Utes? What was your favorite moment? One, it's a two-parter question, and what was your favorite character of the Misfits?
From Discworld?
Of this one.
Okay.
I think one of my favorite moments was Silly taking a bite of Dibbler's meat pie.
Yep. He just
sort of like,
and he just reveled in it.
Like, yeah, it's good, yum yum, and everyone, and just watching Bob's face during all of it, since he's, of all of us here, he and I are probably the two that have the most Discworld knowledge, and he knows about Dibbler's meat pies, which are usually an affront to society.
Yeah.
And, as far as, a favorite character,
you don't have to be specific if you don't.
I like everybody's characters. That's the whole thing, and I'm really excited to see where everybody's going to go with them.
Have you had a favorite? Like, do you have a favorite character as far as like who you've enjoyed interacting with the most? Not necessarily like as a character overall, but that you've had like the most fun interactions with.
Well, there was always the baby gone to Sylvie's face.
That's pretty high on my favorite moments list. I think that would be my answer for my favorite moment, because that was just
that's
was fantastic.
And then it's just Reynard and his grabbing the dead assassin and sticking his head inside his helmet. Yeah. When everybody's like, we need to go. What? Oh, yes. There were so many little things that you guys did. And I love the characters. I love, Brickfist and his, hard-boiled wannabe detective.
Yeah.
And Bob's character is just, the Owen Wilson stoner swashbuckler.
Yeah.
Which is just sort of like, it's an oxymoron on so many levels.
Yeah. I'm loving the... has anybody watched the movie Sing, the animated one?
Yes.
I really like that movie, but I get really big vibes of his character. The best friend, the sheep, who's just like, he's got a rich family and he just like lives in the pool house, like doing nothing but just sort of skating by, like that's the big feeling I get from Burley, and I'm really enjoying it. As far as if I have a favorite character, like obviously I enjoy my own character. I really do enjoy everybody's characters so much. They are so much fun. I'm really enjoying Brickfist. I'm really having fun watching Remy play Brickfist, partially because I really love characters like that. I love like the hard-boiled detective trope, and I have so much fun with that. Like shows like Monk were one of my favorite things to watch as a kid.
Ironically.
Yeah.
Being that he's a monk.
Yeah. We have. I can't wait to see him actually in action too. But yeah, like I'm really enjoying Brickfist. I think is one of the ones I'm having the most fun watching, just interacting with.
You think that was a layered pun for his character, that he chose a monk because of the detective show Monk?
I don't think so. I think it's just a beautiful coincidence.
Yeah, yeah. I'll answer briefly just because I don't want to take up more time. We're running out of time, but I would say favorite moment that was, it had to, man, okay, I should have thought about this more. Wow. It had to be some moment between like banter between Burly and Brickfist, like interrogating the old woman.
That was good.
Brickfist's dry sense of humor that he lacks is pretty cool. Cool.
That's not creepy.
Shut up, Bubby.
Yeah, it's Bubby.
Shut up, Bubby.
Little robot.
Yeah, I'm really liking. Sorry to hijack the question here a little bit, but I'm really liking the sort of the dynamic between all the characters, taking this like very. They each have this very different connection to, especially being in like a law enforcement unit. I almost feel like Siloe almost doesn't fit in as much, but like the triumvirate of Brickfist, Burly, and Reynard is this really interesting mix of like, okay, Reynard is like this very, traditional, almost like Andy Griffith like cop character, like the noble paladin doing good, and almost Starsky and Hutch style. Like Burly is just he's a stoner wastoid who's just here because it's a job that his family probably pushed him into, and Brickfist is the washed up drunk who's clearly done this before but doesn't really give so much of a shit anymore. And I'm loving like that like triumvirate of interactions there a lot.
Yeah, I'll pick up where I left off. Like if it weren't Burly and Brickfist, it would have been Burly and Reynard, where he called Silly an asshole.
Yeah.
And Reynard's like, did you just call Silly a butthole? And he's like, yes, I did. No, I called him an asshole. And then he's like, well, that's not very nice to say. You should try being more polite. And then he's like, I'm sorry. He's a magnificent asshole or some shit like that. Like, yeah. That was really, really funny.
That was such a good character moment. I really, really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
That was wonderful.
So
and Siloe also just loved it.
Yeah, I it's too early to tell who, if I were a fan if I were sitting outside, not as a player, if I were watching this, I would not have any favorites yet. It's way too early to tell because everybody had their own really unique and just super odd and hilarious characteristics about themselves.
Yeah.
So we're down to 5 questions and it's about 3 minutes of, so we can go into overtime if you want.
Let's do 3.
3?
She's Junkie wants us to answer 3.
Yeah, good call. James, tell us about your first D&D experience.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, you see, back then...
really show your age. You know, when they were writing script into stone.
They were pressing it into cuneiform clay tablets along the Tigris River. No.
I remember my first commandment.
My first games of D&D. I remember, man, we were sitting in the basement of like my buddy Nate's house when we were like, I was like 12, I think at the time. So now you know how old I am.
Was that before or after World War I?
That was just after Gettysburg.
Yeah, so Lincoln freed the slaves and everything kosher.
That was just after Valley Forge and just a few weeks before Gettysburg.
That's appropriate.
Legit though, would that have been like early 80s?
That was probably right then and there. That was about 1980.
So you were the original cast of Stranger Things.
I was gonna say very Stranger Things vibes.
Yeah, it was. You know,
was that show a throwback for you?
It was. Watching that very first episode of Stranger Things, that was my first game.
Okay.
Right there.
That's awesome.
You know, and guess what? I was the kid in the baseball hat.
Okay.
Awesome.
I was Dustin. You know.
Nice.
So, you know, yeah, it was sitting in my buddy Nate's basement. He had bought a copy of the of like, you know, the old box expert set thing of D&D.
The red box?
Yeah, I think it was the old red box or the blue box. You know, and he's like, hey, I got this new game. You want to try it? Yeah, let's try it. So we sat down and played it. And I was hooked. Like, bam, right then and there I was hooked. Because by that point, I think I'd already read things like, you know, The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings like a million times. I used to sit and read the entire, like I would read the entire, all three books of The Lord of the Rings in a weekend. You know, at that point in my life.
Right,
so,
just keep in mind, viewers, this is before they invented the TV.
Yes, this is back before TV was. You know, we didn't have that evil moving picture box.
I'll stop.
You know, and the Marconi. You know, all we had was the Marconi in the corner.
Karma's gonna bite me in the ass for this. So,
but yeah, it was. You know, I was hooked from like the very beginning, and then I remember like now that would have been going into junior high, and you know back then you had your clubs in school. And me and my friends actually started a Dungeons and Dragons club.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we were like, you know, mega nerds back in like, you know, 1981, 1982 and stuff. I played Dungeons and Dragons in the middle of the desert in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, shit.
That's fucking awesome. When were you deployed? Was that Desert Storm or? Okay.
That was also the Civil War. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I have friends who were.
We were fighting the, you know, we were fighting the Barbary pirates.
I have friends who were deployed at the same time, and they played D&D over there too.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Good for them.
I mean, because it was basically just mind-numbing. So.
Yeah. Well, that's like you see the picture that goes around of like two dudes in, you know, white shirts and you know, camo pants, and they're sitting over this board where they literally have like rocks and bottle caps, and they're like, you don't understand, we were playing Warhammer here. This was I was the guy in that corner. I was playing orcs and he was playing Tyranids, and we were slugfesting, and like, that's just so awesome.
I mean, I've taken Dungeons and Dragons with me everywhere I've gone. I've played it, you know, since, you know, I started playing it probably around 1970. I think it was probably the summer of 1979. I think was when I started playing.
That's awesome. I've been playing for 13 years myself, and you know, it feels like the blink of an eye.
Somebody give me a D4 roll. We're going into overtime.
Go ahead, James.
Here. And I'm not caring about time, just so you guys.
Yeah,
are
no,
cool
I've got no commitments, so like, I'm down for shooting the shit.
Yeah.
3.
All right, another one for James. You clearly have a love for Discworld. What was your first and/or favorite story or book from Discworld? That's a good one.
Okay, hold on. I'll be right back.
He's got the original copy.
I have a copy.
While you're looking for that, I have a fun story that you reminded me of, James. When you were talking about like a D&D club in high school, I had an anime and gaming club in college that I was a part of that I helped to run at a certain point. And fun story, I got my first job at an architecture firm significantly off of the recommendation letter of my former gaming president, who wrote a recommendation letter about me running D&D games for the club.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. To answer the question now, the very first book, this is it right here. Small Gods.
Okay, I think you had talked a little bit about this one when we were like discussing Discworld as a setting.
Yeah. This is about essentially a story about the gods of the Discworld, and how, and it's sort of apparent. It also goes into Pratchett's belief that he is an atheist. He was an atheist, and it posits basically that gods are only as powerful as the number of people who believe in them and how strongly they actually believe.
Yeah.
And it's about this god known as the great god who was always seen as a brass bull. This great, bronze bull who, with fire and sparks coming from its nostrils and stuff like that. And when the last actual believer, who is a priest of finds him, he's actually this tiny little tortoise. And he goes about trying to help him get he goes about trying to return to his greatness. That's what this is about. Great book. Awesome. Look it up. Small Gods.
Dear Lord, I can see just from the moment you described it, even when we were just talking about Discworld, I see so hard why he and Neil Gaiman worked together to write Good Omens.
Yeah.
Because that is so closely tied to like American Gods as a concept.
Oh my God, that was such a great show too.
That book I read. That book is remarkable. I love. Okay, here's some of my intellectual over the topness, but I love those concepts of like belief and faith, and deities as like tulpa or thought form. Like our belief in them gives them power, and even if you don't believe like in their stories, like that gives them a physical presence, our collective belief in them gives them power over our thought as people, as a society, our continuation of them as parts of our moral compasses. Just it's fascinating. So sorry for that diversion into my little my
and then of course my all-time favorite Discworld story is the one I actually touched on earlier.
Hogfather?
Yeah, I'm going to be watching that next month.
So again, read the book, or barring that, catch it on Amazon Prime, steal someone's login if you have to, whatever. I didn't say that.
I'm using my parents.
Borrow a friend's login.
Yeah. I'm working my way through all the Marvel movies right now. When I'm done, I will work on tackling some Terry Pratchett books.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, it's hard to really say like, yes, these are the most favorite ones, but I would say that Small Gods was the very first one. Hogfather for me, just hands down, I think my favorite story he's done.
That's awesome.
All right. Let's see. We got 3 questions left. I'll go ahead and ask one because they got two for me and then one for the group. I feel like awkward Christmas situation when you accidentally missed your presents you gave out everybody else's, and you're like, oh look, they're all for me now. The last one.
How about this? I will roll between the 2 you have, and then we'll ask the one for the group, and we'll finish off with the last one for you.
Sounds good.
Okay. I got a 2.
Perfect. All right. So this question says, what do you think of Discworld as a place and Reynard's place in it? As a player, I would say Discworld, I am such a noob to. Again, I only watched a couple of TV shows for references, but
it's still more than me.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing, the whole limited space and the edge of the earth. The color of magic, where like the scientists are trying to see the sex of the turtle, how important that was for them. Like the stuff is mind blowing. And as far as Reynard's place in it, I would say I'm incredibly comfortable with Reynard's place in it. I don't think he's gonna manage to be a very positive Dudley Do-Right type character very long. But I'm really comfortable with what he is in comparison to what Discworld is. Like a gelatinous cube living inside a paladin's knight armor. Like it fits pretty well for me, like as far as obscurities go. So we'll take that one off the board.
Alrighty.
Boom. And then the non-Chris related question. How are you feeling about the dynamics of the Watch's latest recruit group? Colby, was that one of yours?
Yeah.
So that would be to James, right?
Yeah, that was primarily to James, but we can also, okay. I mean, I've talked a little bit about it, like how I really like that triumvirate of Brickfist and Burley and Reynard, and I feel like Siloui's kind of just a wild card in there, and I'm interested to see where he ends up like slotting into the group. But yeah, it was mostly for James.
Sweet.
How do I feel about it?
Yeah,
I think that this group of characters is going to make for some interesting stories. I think there's going to be some really interesting stories with you guys. It's going to be really cool to see where you guys go with what I give you. I'm also looking forward to seeing what you guys, what these characters give me to work with. Because a lot of what's going on, yes, there's going to be this driving underlying story and this driving underlying plot that's going to run the entire campaign. But it's really going to be up to the characters as to which way they go with it. And I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be really cool to see what you guys do with it.
Yeah, I would say with what you said earlier in the show, where you mentioned that you're giving us the world, but like any gracious DM, but also mischievous, you're gonna just see where we go with it and kind of just let us go wherever we want. And not every DM does that. There's a lot of tunnel vision DMs. There's a lot of like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, like kind of like if you've ever played the old Battlefield games, like Bad Company 1, where it was open map, but they're still very story driven, so you still had things that you had to do to get through to the game, but you could kind of go about doing it your own way. And like there's a lot of DMs I see like that, and then there's situations where I feel like James, where you're just gonna kind of boom, here it is, like I'm ready for whatever you sons of bitches do. Like bring it. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, 4 years under my belt. Surprise me.
I'm definitely getting the sense so far that like early on we're gonna have, you know, this sort of episodic Scooby-Doo like scenario where we get this mission, we go back, okay, here's another mission, and we're gonna get these things, but there's these little threads that are gonna like tie through that we're gonna find information about. If I had put it's reminding me of something like Psych or Burn Notice, where it's these episodic scenarios, but there is this plot underneath it that there is something going on, and you have to figure out what it is while dealing with these individual scenarios. And you know, I feel like as we move forward, we're gonna reach the point where it's just like, okay, I've told you guys, I've given you guys the tools. Now it's your turns to solve this however you want. And I'm really excited for that point. Like, I feel like it's going to give us enough time to sort of flesh out our characters and also create problems for our characters, so that when we get to that point, we're going to be able to branch out more.
Yeah. Did we even give you a chance to answer that, James? I feel like I'm getting sidetracked. I'm sidetracking myself so many times.
What, this question?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We've done so many now, like it gets to that point where like, what did we ask? What didn't we ask? Yeah. I'll jump to this last one here, and then leave it up to chat if there's anybody that wants to chime in on some more, or if you guys have some questions that might have came up while we were streaming. The last one says, can you tell us about how Reynard became sentient? I think we kind of covered that. Yeah. But just for the viewers that might, I see we have a couple more now. So Reynard Ramsbottom is a enchanted gelatinous cube inside of a paladin knight's armor. And without giving too much away, I will just say that he was doing some do-goodery in a dungeon, trying to clean it out, and came across a unhappy gelatinous cube that was not too content with him being there, that consumed him. Something happened to where either the cube itself or the suit of armor that Reynard was in became enchanted, and the cube consumed Reynard as a cube would. However, Reynard's soul took over the cube, and he was able to figure out how to cram his cubiness into his armor, and whether or not he really understands what is going on, we don't know. Mic drops.
Fantastic.
So.
Very good summation.
Yeah. I was hoping. I don't do good at talking.
I think you do a pretty good job when you know what you're looking to say.
Thanks, man.
Look, everybody has moments where they're not sure what they're gonna say, and they just trip and fumble. But
yeah,
no, you did great.
I do a lot of that. But anyway, so yeah, guys, if you have any last second questions you want to ask, we'll stick around for about a minute or two. If you guys, James or Colby, if you guys had any random thoughts or questions that you want to chime into at the end here, here's where I start stumbling because I did good earlier.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, a little less. I don't know. I love any conversation about games and gaming, and like I would love to just have an episode. For those who don't know, Remy and I actually have a podcast that we do, and we talk about all different kinds of things. And I would love to have James. I would love to have you on as a veteran gamer who's been gaming longer than either of us had been alive, and just talk to you about gaming throughout the years. Like, I would love that. So this is a semi-formal invitation to join us on our podcast if you ever want.
And it's also Colby just having a semi for your experience.
Legit though, I love hearing people talk about the things they love, and I love gaming as well. And
back in my day, we didn't have
Yeah.
We had to carve down tons of bitches from stone.
You had to roll your own bones.
I mean, legit, back in the day, you didn't get to see the numbers on your dice. You had to fill in those bitches with crayon. Like, that's actually a thing.
You had crayon?
Yeah, like...
You had crayon?
Yeah.
Look, tree.
Yeah.
We had to cut our own arteries and put blood into it.
Yeah.
Legit though, like anybody like original dice out of like the red box, they were solid color. The numbers weren't filled in with like a different ink or anything. You had to like take a crayon or something and fill them in so you could read them. Like I don't know. I love talking about those things. So legit, if either of you have something that you love that you want to talk about, please, I'd love to talk to people about it. Yep, there it is.
There's an OG from the
These
original
are
box.
the original dice.
Yeah. Oh man, look at the wear on the corners. They're different color, and they're still filled in. Oh man, that's awesome.
And, there's the D4.
Oh, fucking Caltrick.
So
oh no,
the D4 of Doom, where it only really has like one side that's still kind of filled in.
Yeah.
I gotta break out the Crayolas and fix that.
So if you guys are cool with it, let's we'll just call it a night.
I think so.
We're about 20 minutes over what we normally would be. So I know the longer we take, the longer it takes my computer to make this happen. So the longer it takes me to get it up on YouTube. But
I get you.
Yeah, thank you everybody that tuned in. Obviously, Sheets Junkie, thank you for sticking around, and thank you so much for being our first Patreon or patron lore keeper. So
yeah.
We want to remind anybody that is watching, if you're just lurking, we do have a Patreon. Our links are, you can go and chat. They've been I have the Streamlabs auto post this stuff like every 5 minutes. So, good night, and thank you for sticking around. This has been the Lore Lounge episode 3, and tune in tomorrow morning. We are returning to, hopefully, if Bob gets through his hangover throughout the day.
Bob has all day to nurse that hangover.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So if you're watching, Bob, we love you, and hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on twitch.tv/SlipperySteve.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.